The build for issues 25 to 28 begins with the left rear leaf spring. So these are the parts you get with issue 25, and this is the rear leaf spring. You get a support plate, front and rear hinges, a couple of pins and some various screws. The first thing to do is to identify the front and rear of the leaf spring. There's a hole in the leaf spring and it is nearer one end than the other, so the end that it's nearer to, which is this end, is the front of the spring, and this is the front hinge, and then this is the rear of the spring, and then this is the larger rear hinge. So once you've identified the front and rear of the leaf spring, you can then begin to fit the hinges. So take the front hinge and line it up with the holes in the leaf spring. Then slide one of the pins right through the holes in the leaf spring and the hinge itself. Then you need to crush in the last part of the pin so that it fits through the other side of the hinge. You can then do the same for the rear hinge. You can then fit the spring assembly and hinges into place onto the left side of the chassis, and the hinges fit into these rectangle sections on the chassis. So you fit the rear one into place and then the front hinge as well. When both the spring hinges are in place, you can then turn the assembly over and secure it with two MP01 screws in these two holes here. And that completes issue 25. The instructions for this issue also say to fit this support plate over these four posts here, but this is best left until the next stage because you need to take this off again for stage 26, so you can bag this up if you prefer. Issue 26 is the left rear shock absorber and the brake as well. You get the shock absorber body, the brake and the shock absorber hinge. You also get a pin and a couple of screws as well. Start by taking the shock absorber body and fitting it into the slot in the hinge, and then use the small pin to secure it to the hinge. And this fits through the body and crimps into place in the same way as the leaf spring suspension pin. So just crush that into place like that. That's how that should look. Next, take the main assembly and locate the hole in the chassis where you're going to be fitting the shock absorber body, and it's this hole just down inside here. So take the body in some tweezers and just lower that down into place so that the post fits into the hole in the chassis like that. You then need to hold that in place and turn the assembly over and then fit an MP01 screw into this hole here in the chassis. Next, take the support plate from the last issue and the shock absorber piston from this issue, and you're going to be screwing that into place. And just screw the MP03 screw into the support plate and into the piston. Just tighten it up. You then need to lower the piston into the body of the shock absorber. So you need to lift the shock absorber and then lower the body into the hole, like that, and then fit the support plate over the holes in the rear axle, like this. You can then secure the support plate with the 2 screws supplied in the last issue, and just tighten those into place, and they fit in the 2 diagonal holes on the support plate. And that's how the rear axle and suspension assembly should look at the end of stage 26. And that completes stage 26. You can save the brake part for the next issue. With issue 27 you get the tyre and wheel, Shelby logo and an MP03 screw. You first need to fit the tyre to the wheel using the same method that you used for the previous 2 wheels. So that could either be warming the tyre in hot water or using a hairdryer to apply heat and then squeezing the tyre over the wheel. You then need the assembled chassis plus the brake from the last issue. The brake fits into the wheel with the slot in the brake fitting into the post inside the wheel. So just make sure that turns until it fits into place properly, like this. You can then fit the wheel to the rear axle. And then tighten in a MP03 screw into the centre of the wheel. So it's going in like this. You don't need to over tighten this, just tighten it so that the wheel doesn't wobble but can still turn around, and loosen it slightly if it's not spinning properly. And then you can fit the Shelby logo to the centre of the wheel, and they just push into place like that. That completes issue 27. You can then test the suspension by gently pressing down on the wheel, holding the chassis like this. Issue 28 is the left rear wheel arch, and this is a very simple stage. You get the wheel arch with this issue plus 3 MD06 screws. So just place the wheel arch over the wheel, over these 3 posts, like this. And make sure it fits down properly, and then secure that with the 3 MD06 screws. And that completes issue 28. That's how your assembly should look at the end of this issue, with the wheel arch in place.